Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. We are live. Welcome to a new edition of our show. We are
Larry Eyong.
Prince Ojong. We are here again to bring you a great show. Here we are again, like the three witches in Shakespeare's Macbeth.
But one of the witches is dead, so we are just two of us.
So we are here to tell you the future. We're going to prophesy. We'll let you know what is happening in La Republique du Cameroun, in Ambazonia, and in Africa in general. So there's a whole lot that's going to happen. We're going to try to help you foretell the future. So, like the witches in Macbeth, that's our role for today. So, without further ado, Mr. Larry Eyong, we're going to start by the succession shuffle happening now in Yaoundé.
Yes,
Frank Biya,
you remember, Prince, 10 years ago, I wrote a little book called Cameroon, Biya's Generation of Cronyism, the Hidden Agenda of the 30-Year Kleptocracy. At that time, the Biya kleptocracy was just 30 years. And my prediction was that they were going to arrange for Frank Biya to take over power. And I thought Biya was going to do it earlier, but because Biya is not the one running the country since the 1984 coup d'etat, it is the Esingan which has been running the country. Biya has not been able to hand over, particularly because Chantal has thrown a monkey wrench into this succession controversy.
and when you look at Chantal, you are Macbeth. When you look, is she like Lady Macbeth?
Every of these women is like Marie Antoinette, a cross between Imelda Marcos, Marie Antoinette, Valerie Bongo, Grace Mugabe. The women have a lot of overweening ambition where they want to step on the shoes of their husband, and they have enjoyed this exceptionally powerful position, especially for somebody like Chantal Biya, who is completely empty. She has only her femininity to be able to be proud of, no education, and her looks. Well, of course, she has some good looks. So she has been used to this La Belle Vie. She has been moving around, jetting around. She would take military aircrafts to go shop in the most exotic fashion stores in Paris and Monaco. So this lifestyle, that is the kind of lifestyle of a first lady, she's now so accustomed to it that she is going to kill and steal to stay in power. So this is the monkey wrench. How are the French going to maneuver so that Frank Biya will be in power, and what will become of Chantal? That is the question.
But it looks like some people are saying that Chantal may be empty, but she has learned a lot from Biya's political school. It looks like she knows that without Frank Biya, she will not even be able to stay in Cameroon. So now she has to acquiesce to the idea of Frank Biya taking over from the husband.
Yes, my prediction is that that entente cordiale can only last during the interregnum until when Frank Biya is stable in power. Remember the Angolan president who took over from the Agostinho Neto, who took over from Lorenzo. He took over, and before long, he convicted the daughter of the former president, who had stolen so much money until she became one of the richest ladies in the country. So
In the whole of Africa,
in the whole of Africa, yes. So my
richer
prediction,
than Oprah Winfrey.
good, from stolen money. Not she lacks the creativity of Oprah Winfrey and the business savvy of Oprah Winfrey, but because she is in a
Daddy's girl.
yeah, she is in a petrodollar nation like Angola. She stole so much money. So my prediction is that if Chantal and Frank are able to have an entente cordiale for a short while, it will be short lived. Now, I also believe that my prediction as one of the witches today is that what happened to Papa Doc and Baby Doc in Haiti is going to happen to Frank Biya.
Tell us what happened.
Papa Doc handed over to Baby Doc, but Baby Doc's reign was short-lived, and it was very so much challenged. Remember that the Cameroonian people are now more enlightened. They are not going to accept the kind of political chicanery of Biya, claiming all the wealth of the country, having more than 50 properties abroad, people like Mvondo Ayolo buying properties all over. In fact, Mvondo Ayolo just bought the property of Georges Pompidou, the former president of France, who used to be a banker, the Rothschild Bank. So these kleptocracies of Africa are there just to maintain the wealth in the offshore financial world, in France, in Monaco, in
Panama.
in the Panama. I mean, you've heard of the Panama Papers and the other revelations that have been made. Now you also know about Robert Bourgi's revelations about the briefcases of money. So this whole contraption of resource-rich countries where the French go through all kinds of machinations to maintain leaders and their children, this kind of contraption is intended only to continue to enrich the Western countries. And it happens in resource-rich countries. When you look at French Africa, the French with Macron and the rest now following the footsteps of Sarkozy, following the footsteps of Chirac, following the footsteps of Mitterrand. Remember Christophe Mitterrand, Papa Madi. He would go to African presidents and said, Papa Madi, de te demander des millions. My father has asked me to ask for money from you. They followed the tradition of Fouda, which has now been revealed by Robert Bourgi, because Robert Bourgi revealed all this information because the French, in their racism, did not treat him well. Remember, he was born in Senegal of Lebanese origin, and the French have never stopped calling him this Shiite Muslim. So he got angry and spilled the beans. So the French are not ashamed, because France has been using the colonies as an opportunity to enrich themselves, and the Bretton Woods system that I condemn, which has collapsed. It has caused more than 200 wars. And right now, Prince, you must have heard about what happened at the G20 with Lula. Now, Western hegemony is being challenged by the Russians, by the Chinese, by the Africans. And you know my project, the Afro is our way forward. Can you imagine, Prince, that a small country like Japan has a GDP which is higher than that of all the 54 countries of Africa put together, because all our wealth from Africa is stolen.
It's stolen by the French people.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're talking about succession in Cameroon.
Yes.
To wake up the people of Cameroon. If they are sleeping, les francophones, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonnez les matines, ding dong ding. Frank Biya sera votre président. Réveillez-vous, réveillez-vous.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? The people of Ambazonia are fighting already to get rid of this dictatorship.
Yes.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Stop sleeping.
Yeah.
Wake up. Then look at what is happening now with Joseph Fouda. How do you link this with the Chantal nonsense?
Yeah. Joseph Fouda was the beachhead, was the tip of the iceberg in the Biya kleptocracy. You see, these people were in front, and they will shake down people and collect money, shake down enterprises, business contents, and collect money and give the money to Chantal. So long as you give the money to Chantal, you give the money to Paul Biya, they would pretend that, oh, well, we are not aware of any theft. Anybody who steals money, he will be taken to jail. But basically, the fraud that Biya has been perpetuating and hiding behind has now been exposed with Nyamjok, the Chantal Biya's uncle's daughter, who was in Ngoh's office collecting this money. In fact, there's an Anglophone gentleman who was deceived that he will be made prime minister, and he went and took loans to the tune of 500 million from Bamileke businessmen, and that money was stolen from him. He's now depressed, frustrated. But this mafia of using the government to shake down enterprises and people is what the Biya kleptocracy is all about. And thank God it is now being exposed, because what happens, Prince, when Ali Baba and the 40 thieves go get a booty, because they are so greedy and in the sharing of the booty, now they start revealing the whole game. People like Mbapou.
Mbapou, that's the name I was going to call. Tell us about Mbapou.
Yeah, Herve Mbapou had been used as a spy. They always have some innocuous people. This man is
he's handicapped, right?
Yeah, physically, I like to call him, he's physically challenged.
And mentally, he's good.
Yeah, and the cripples, people who have physical disabilities, compensate for these disabilities in many other ways. So he was a trickster, he was an informant, and what these dictatorships feed on is on information. They send these people in the community of opposition leaders and among journalists to go gather information about what is being planned so that they can torpedo this kind of initiatives. So Herve Mbapou was one they were using to go collect money from the Afriland Bank, from all kinds of banks which were there to launder the money. Remember, Cameroon is a kleptocracy. So they always look for a way to...
When you say kleptocracy, break this down. Your average person, this is too big a term.
Okay. It's a government of thieves, by thieves, for thieves.
Thank you.
The president is a thief. He has a net...
Biya is a thief.
Of course.
Biya is a thief.
But they always try to cover him in the veneer
He's a good guy.
Of officiality, to claim that, oh, it's the other people who are around him who are... Biya really wants to free Cameroon. The kind of lies that are told by my colleagues like Charles Ndongo, who was a year ahead of me, and Joseph Anderson Lay, who was a year behind me in School of Journalism. We learned all these tricks. We know that they have to build this whole aura of credibility around Mr. Biya by accusing all the people. Oh no, Biya himself is a very good guy.
Clean.
It's just that the people around him. And I say that is nonsense.
Lies.
Because your character, show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. If you sleep with dogs, don't be surprised that you will have fleas. That's what Biya has.
And on a sad note, if you sleep with fleas, that's what you get.
Yes.
The deal of Ida Battle. So
yes.
I want you to enchaîner.
Yes. Yeah. You see, when you are an Anglophone and you are supporting this dictatorship, you are disposable. When you are in trouble, they cut you loose. That is why that divisional officer is now in the hands of rebels, and the government of Cameroon doesn't care.
Thank you.
Generally, they will say entre eux là-bas, des anglophones, il faut qu'on le tue. It's among them. Yes.
Laurent Esso.
So long as he is not one of the Betty tribe, they are not going to go out of their way. And this is a warning to those who are being overzealous about supporting the dictatorship. People like Dion Ngute and Atanga Nji, they are disposable. I always like to use the French expression. They are going to use you comme du papier hygiénique après usage. After they use you, they will flush you. And it's going to happen in short order.
And it's very, very bad. We hear that they've even killed that Ewane guy.
They said
that those pirates have killed Ewane already.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the wife. I saw her crying and crying and crying. Guys, we should have been in Enam.
Yes.
Back in 82, when Biya took power, we already left the university. We did not go to Enam, not because we could not go to Enam. Yeah. Enam was not a good place to go because you went there to learn how to become a thief.
Yeah.
You learned there to learn how to kill people.
Yes.
So those are the sad things you learn in Enam.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So people like this one guy, they went there because of money.
Yeah.
And that's what you get. You get what you negotiated for.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Prince, Robert Frost says it very nicely. Regarding the road not taking.
Mm-hmm.
2 roads separated in the wood. I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference.
Thank you.
But a lot of people do not have the character to and the clairvoyance
Mm-hmm.
to see the writing on the wall. There is no way you could be an Anglophone in Cameroon and see the intensity of the injustice and the extrajudiciary killings of southern Cameroonians and think that working with that regime you will be spared, because fundamentally you are not trusted. You are always suspected. They think that at any moment you are going to flip on them because they know the regime is not good. They are holding you just because you are part of a cult, and they know that anybody with real dignity will not support this kind of regime. So southern Cameroonians, Anglophones, you are in danger in that regime.
District officers, prefet, sous-prefet, governors, those are all titles, isn't it? You look at like this guy now, this guy from Idabato.
Yeah.
The pirates have taken him, and it looks like the pirates are treating him the same way La Republique treats Anglophones and Ambazonians.
Yes, you see, and that is why recently the Cameroon dictatorship went to the United Nations to tell bold-faced lies about how they are taking measures to fight torture. This is nonsense. Everybody knows right from the year 2000, after Rodney Nigel wrote his report about torture being systematic and widespread in Cameroon. The United Nations knows that French Cameroon tortured people, but what could they do about it? They don't have an enforcement mechanism. So they're just going to hold these press releases and these for this whole theater, this whole farce is there just for public consumption. Oh, the United Nations is discussing torture in Cameroon because Longue has been tortured. And after the discussion, nothing is done. The torture continues. And that is why the only thing that can happen is you take the law into your own hands and combat it. You are your own defense. The laws of just war.
And that's why those pirates are doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it looks like the regime has even arrested some of them and put them in Boya, in jail.
Yeah.
And this your Okala Bilai, this nonsensical governor.
Yes.
He came and started threatening them.
Yeah.
After he made those threats, the guys were like, "What? Who are you threatening?" Yeah. Then they decided to just finish with that Lawrence one district officer.
Yeah. The dictators have a bunker mentality. Remember, Ferdinand said that this war could be fought for 50 years. He knows that with the end of the Biya regime, they are all going to be wiped out. And they know that the consciousness that Southern Cameroonians now have through the social media, through the open-mindedness, through the dictatorship which has sent them all over the world, they are able to document all these atrocities.
And we've been documenting.
Yes, and
we're still documenting.
There's no way for the future. And by the way, the reputational damage that Norway is suffering now, extending the
Ayabacho Lucas,
claiming that they are going to be conducting an investigation, we are all aware of the fact that it is the influence of the French. Yes.
Yeah, influence of French.
Yeah, the French are telling them, look, this is what we need to do to maintain stability in Cameroon because it's a resource-rich country. We are trying to create a succession there. So you hold this man as long as possible and it's in violation of international law.
So do you know why they are holding Ayabacho? So this is it now.
Yeah.
Larry is telling you guys now. Larry Eyong, tell them again. Yeah. That's why they are holding the good guy Ayabacho Lucas.
Well, but guess what? When you see the slander that is occurring, even in the ranks of the Ambazonians, a lot of them who have been bought, the Ambazonian leadership, which has been bought, because when Tibonagi is talking about unity.
And I even said they should follow unity. Some are attacking me.
Yeah, but there is no way for there to be unity with people who have sold out on the cause.
Thank you.
And all they are doing now is to cling to leadership, to continue being disruptors, so that genuine leadership cannot come in. We cannot pump new blood into this movement because the game is now going to be on. There's a new regime in Washington, D.C., and the lights are now going to be, dictatorship cannot survive in sunshine.
Thank you.
In light. When we are flushing the light there, the regime and those dictators are going to be running like roaches.
Yes.
And so this is what is going to be happening in Cameroon. The Biya succession is not going to be easy. It will not happen.
And my brother, Donald Trump is coming in a few weeks. Joe Biden has been holding Biya with kiddie gloves. You saw what happened to the Ambazonia revolution when Donald Trump was in power. From what Tibor Nagy and the other guys are saying, even the guy who is going to become the U.S. Secretary of State,
Marco Rubio,
he's a pro-Ambazonia guy.
Okay.
So already Donald Trump has sent feelers to Biya that, listen, you have two options, free Ambazonia or resign.
Yeah.
The same thing that Mitterrand did to Ayidjo, that's what Donald Trump is going to do to Paul Biya. So just let your people know that.
Well, Prince, I'm going to throw some cold water on your overly optimistic view about what Trump is going to do. My own stock is on the 8 million Ambazonians who are all over the world, who are the ones who are going to assert their sovereignty. Remember,
Trump is going to make it possible for them. Biden has been making it difficult, has been criminalizing Ambazonians. Trump is not going to incriminate Ambazonians. Trump is going to give a free rein for Ambazonians to fight.
Prince.
Biden has been holding the hands of Ambazonians. That's what I'm trying to make my friend Larry Eyong understand.
Yes, and I will adopt a wait and see attitude.
Okay.
Seeing is believing. I want to wait and see. Now, I have confidence in Southern Cameroonians. I have confidence in Ambazonians. I have confidence in the 8 million Southern Cameroonians. I have confidence in those who have made the supreme sacrifice, that of life itself, for a lofty ideal, who are now showing the world that the decision of the British not to grant Southern Cameroon's independence or self-government was unconscionable. It was substantively and procedurally unconscionable on account of the new information that we now have about our ability to be a nation, especially when Pierre Mesmer says in his book, Le Blanc S'en Vont, that Southern Cameroons were a little gift of the Queen of England, yes, to General de Gaulle. So we are not a gift. We are going to assert our sovereignty, and the future is in the hands of those who are confident that their dreams of sovereignty, of nationhood, of self-determination will be realized.
Yeah, Mr. Eyong.
Yes.
When I look at what is happening now on the ground in La Republique du Cameroun, and even it looks like I see a form of Ayidjo nostalgia.
Yes.
You've been there when Ayidjo was there, then when Biya came. So what do you have to say?
Well, I guess human beings like to make comparisons. And when we are making these comparisons today, most of the time, we are oblivious of the horrendous suffering that our people suffered. Let me give you an example. The UPC was banished by the French in 1955. And these nationalists were pushed out of of French Cameroon, and they came to the Bakosi area of Southern Cameroon. And because they were so asphyxiated, as I remember, I tell you the French strategy of isolement and étouffement, they had to resort to attacking women in farms to get food to eat, and now they gave them the name Maquisard. The name Maquisard is a derogatory reference to nationalist people who were fighting for genuine freedom in Cameroon. When Ayidjo, the son of a Malian immigrant whose father he doesn't even know, and by the way, Prince, you know that on Ayidjo's birth certificate, the name, the place of the father said Père Inconnu.
Père Inconnu.
Because nobody really knows, he knows his father.
So,
yeah, so they brought Louis-Paul Ojula brought Ayidjo to take over from Andre Marimbida, the prime minister who had really fought for nationalism in Cameroon, and people like Omniobe, Osende Afana, Commandant Kisamba, and all these people who fought. And then they destroyed the movement. That is why when Ernest Wanzie was going to be executed in 1972, and Mitterrand tried to come to the country, and he was kicked out of the country, that is how Ahidjo sowed the seeds of his own demise. Prince, who went to defend Ernest Wanzie? It was Gojidinka and Luke Senze.
And you know Gojidinka, right? You guys, Ambazonians should know Gojidinka.
Yeah.
Tell them a little bit about Gojidinka.
Valiant Anglo-Saxon lawyers who were courageous to lay the law in that dictatorship and say, from our Anglo-Saxon system, these people have a right to fight for their self-determination. Of course, the kangaroo court in Yaoundé did not listen to them and executed them. But the fact that Gojidinka and Luke Senze and Ambazonian lawyers were the ones to stand there, put a marker on the ground in Cameroon that in the future, you can't play with these people. They have a superior legal and political culture, and that is why we are staking our claim for our own nation, and nobody is going to take that away from us.
So, back to Ahidjo nostalgia. So, is Ahidjo the same? People feel like Ahidjo was a good dictator, and Biya is a bad dictator.
Yes.
At least Ahidjo was developing the country.
You're right.
But today, you look at Cameroon, I myself, as a young child, the first time I saw Ahidjo was in my small town called Manfe.
Yes.
We were calling him Mpoptibata Otuo. Mpoptibata Otuo.
Prince is referring to
Ahidjo's big jaws.
The puffy jaws of Ahidjo. But to be fair to Ahidjo, we as children in Manfe were able to see Ahidjo twice. In 25 years, Ahidjo came to Manfe twice. In 42 years, Paul Biya has never come near Manfe. So clearly, it is a man who left without a bank account. He left without any embezzlement. He was very humble and very modest. And clearly, the Biya dictatorship has come to squander everything that Ahidjo really left in the country. And that is why it is so clear that trying to put Biya's son in power is a recipe for civil war in Cameroon, in my humble opinion. As one of the witches in Macbeth, I believe that the clouds, it doesn't augur well for Cameroon if Frank Biya takes over power in Cameroon and suppresses the Bamilikis to impose the French system of saying that the Bamiliki is the prickly pebble on the shoe of French colonialism in Africa. That will not hold, because numbers matter, and the Bamilikis have their numbers, and we are marching towards more representation and democracy. And with free and fair elections in Cameroon, Paul Biya cannot hand over power to his son peacefully.
How can you have free and fair elections when you still have Elekam and you still have RDPC, which is still controlled by Biya?
Yeah.
Then how can you have free and fair elections?
Yeah, Cameroon is so anachronistic because Ahidjo, the greatest error that Ahidjo made was to take Biya, a man of no character and no caliber, and make him president. And now it is the entourage, the Esingan, which is ruling the country, especially now that it has been handed over to Chantal and Ngoh. So he virtually has no say. That is why Cameroon is like a rudderless ship. Cameroon is just drifting in an ocean of corruption, embezzlement, and everybody is just fighting for his own part. The French are trying to keep a stranglehold over Cameroon because of the strategic resources. But it's going to be getting tougher and tougher for them, because even in Ivory Coast now, they are nearly allowing Ouattara to have a fourth term in power. And the Ivorians are saying this is not going to happen, particularly because they have seen the example of the Sahel nations of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And these people are setting the marker for a more nationalistic, more Pan-African concept. Remember, in Niger, the French used to take their oil, take their uranium, and sell it at $11 a kilo. They used to pay them $11 a kilogram of uranium and sell it in the world market for $218. now the
Orano.
the Niger people have taken over control, and they're making so much money. And I'm hoping that Tiani is going to try to improve the suffering lot of the people of Niger by the uh, purchasing power parity. Niger used to be one of the poorest countries in the world, but we are hoping that
Things are going to change.
with the advent of Tiani taking over control of these resources, particularly the fact that Niger is not giving its uranium again to Europe, to France. France is having serious problems of electricity.
Yes, Urano has been kicked out.
Yes,
Urano was the main company taking all the uranium in Niger.
Yeah, so nationalism is coming back to Africa, Pan-Africanism is coming back to Africa, and we are not going to allow the French to impose despots on our population.
But it looks like the Francophones are dumb, and the Anglophones have tried now to wake up. So what will it take to wake up the Francophones? Est-ce qu'on doit parler seulement en français? Pour qu'ils se réveillent.
Yes, the French have an expression, je veux voir mes enfants grandir. And this is in French, tropical French Africa, in this tropical French Central Africa. The Francophones in Senegal are very nationalistic. And the Francophones in the Sahel area, who are Muslims, are very nationalistic. And I'm beginning to think that it is the Muslim religion that gives them that kind of nationalism. And I'm hoping that with the social media and the world now becoming a global village, the Francophones in French Africa, in the tropics, like in Gabon, Congo, and the Central African republics, which were just la chasse gardée de la France, are going to wake up and realize that they have to assert themselves like their friends in the Sahel area. I'm very hopeful.
Then what about the Francophones in Maroua, Garoua, and Gaoundéré? What are they doing? They are Muslims. So what are they doing?
That is why they are going to wreak revenge. Remember, it is said that revenge is a dish that is best enjoyed when it is cold. They have never forgotten the massacre that the Biya dictatorship inflicted on them after the fake 1984 coup d'etat, where many of their soldiers were killed and buried in mass graves in Fou and on the road to Mbalmayo. So these people are getting themselves ready. That is why those who think that it is going to be a cakewalk for Biya to just take over power in Yaoundé because he's supported by the French are in for a rude awakening.
Then what about the Esingan guys? It looks like most of those guys are just waiting for Paul Biya to cover his eyes because they themselves don't even like the idea of Frank Biya taking over.
Yes.
Ferdinand Ngoh, for one, wants also to run the country.
Yes.
So how do you see the end game as a witch that is going to happen in Yaoundé among all these Betty guys?
As a wizard, I am thinking that the people who are surrounding the Biya dictatorship, the people of Esingan, people like Famendungu, people like Laurent Esso, people like Mvondo Ayolo, people like Atanga, people like Amougou Belinga, and all those ones who are sitting on the sidelines with people like Mutaze. When Mebengo is in jail, Mutaze, who is distributing the money to people like Mekulu Mvondo, who runs the CMPS and gives that money. All those people are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. With the demise of Biya, they don't have a future in Cameroon, in my humble opinion.
So what's going to happen?
There's going to be bloodshed. I think there's going to be bloodshed. I'll be very surprised. You see, Prince, when a regime has been in power for so long, like that of Uford Boigny, who handed over to his illegitimate son, Harry Konan Bedie, who was quickly overthrown, and then Gbagbo came in. The French did not like him. They overthrew him, and they brought Alassane Ouattara. There's been so much turbulence in that kind of regime. Look at Gaddafi. After Gaddafi ruled for 43 years and left, there is chaos. So it is difficult for Cameroon to be succeeded by a 42-year regime, and then another stable regime will come, especially because of the fundamental changes that have occurred in the demographics of Cameroon and the fact that The Cameroonians are now more enlightened. So we are, every indication that I have is that things are going to be very tough for Cameroon.
So what should the Ambazonians who are in Yaoundé do?
The Ambazonians in Yaoundé cannot sleep on their laurels. The country is in dire straits. They must take their precautions. Look at the Sudan, for example. The two generals overthrew a democratic government. They started fighting among themselves. The infighting, which is going to be occurring because of the denial of free and fair elections in Cameroon, does not augur good for the future stability of that country.
Okay. And what is France thinking about? Look at France doesn't even care. They just care about the resources.
No, France is losing the credibility and the power. Remember, Prince, the way African leaders speak to Emmanuel Macron. Nobody spoke to General de Gaulle that way. He was feared and revered. Now we have come to the consciousness of the dignity of the black people, where they are not going to be looked down on France. In fact, I hear Ngoh actually told Macron that, Mr. President, why do you think that France should be the one to determine the leader of Cameroon? So they are in for a rude awakening with this younger generation.
So is that why France doesn't like Ngoh?
Well, the problem is not that there is a particular view in France. We have gone through this before. The French are jostling for position to look for who fits their interests. The patronat français is different from that of the la gauche française or bien le droit français. So French people don't really have a clear candidate in Cameroon. And so we're going to
Why not?
Because their interests are divergent. The French interests are not monolithic.
Okay.
Yeah, they are very divergent interests, and everybody's looking for a piece of his own cake and looking for somebody who will be the proper overseer of the French plantation in Cameroon to give them an advantage. So there is no agreement on who should really take over. Although Frank Biya is favored because the French want stability.
Then Ferdinand Ngoh as a candidate.
This is going to be more and more difficult. Remember, we've discussed Ferdinand Ngoh. He is from Minta. He is from Akonolinga, and he's related to Chantal Biya in a very tortuous relationship. And the Betis do not want him to take over because he is going to threaten them. So this is going to be that's why it's going to be very dicey. Yes.
The Bulus. Basically, you have among the Betis, you have a Mvondo, a Ton, and Bulu.
Yeah, and even the Mangisas.
Mangisa is Eton.
Yes.
So Biya is Bulu. So that's why you see the divisions.
Yes.
Biya is Bulu. Chantal Biya is a Mvondo.
Yes.
Then of course you have the Eton where Etudi stands.
Yeah. So this weaponization of ethnicity is the root cause of instability in most African countries. When ethnicity is weaponized, where people are not given appointments or positions on merit, but are given positions because of their relationship. Look at the Biya regime. It's just a family affair.
Yes.
It's just a complete family affair.
Even this conflict between Chantal and Joseph Fouda is a family affair.
It's a family affair. The man has placed his peons all over the place to control the resources, buy properties in Europe. But as the Bible says, all these people who steal resources are stealing them for the children of poor people to come and enjoy. And as a wizard today on Shakespeare, Lady Macbeth and Banquo's ghost, I see trouble coming in Cameroon.
Exactly. And that's how we'll end the show of today.
Thank
you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Share and share and share, okay? Share and share and share.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.